when you get to the big time, Penske Racing,
Yeah.
2008, how does that even come about?
Roy McCauley, who's a longtime Penske employee, he was a crew chief at the time. He had run Sam Hornish. He had been with a team. I guess it was kind of their test team, kind of, sort of. Roy came to me late in the season and said, "What are you doing next year?" And I said, "Well, Roy, I don't know." I said, "I really don't think this team's going to be business." And I said, "Well, I heard that." He said, "Are you interested? What are you?" And I said, "I'm looking for anything." I said, "I've been in the Cup Series now. I kind of like to stay in if good." But he said, so he said, "Well, I got something working." And what it was, he was wanting to be Ryan Newman's crew chief full time the next year. And he knew they were going to run Sam, and he threw in my name. So that's how it worked out. It happened. I went to, I think it was 6 interviews. They're the interviewing people I've ever seen in my life, worse than the FBI. You know, and if they had their interview process for president, we probably had to do a president. But anyway, and they were up front with me when I came there. They said, "Sam doesn't have much experience. We don't expect a lot right now this first year, but we've got the biggest sponsor in racing, being Mobile One." He said, first half of the year, we're going to be, we're not going to have a lot of lofty goals. But he said the second half, this is Tim Centric talking, he said the second half, the expectations will go up. Second half of the year, we're going to have to do better. We're going to have to make some results. And he said, we're not changing the drive.
So you get into the All-Star.
Skew car.
Yeah.
Sidewinder.
Now, a lot of people were doing that before you, right? People started. You're kind of credited as the man who
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. It's like, here's how it worked. Through probably a little bit the year before, maybe, and the first part of that year, there had been some people try a little bit. And what it is, it's misaligning the rear end. It's not doing anything with the body. You couldn't. The body had to be on the chassis straight, or it was specified. Everything was measured. The body was measured off the chassis, not the wheels. Okay, and the body was on the chassis in the place it had to be. There was no tolerance. With aero testing, with wind tunnel testing, they found out, I'm gonna be honest with you, those CLT cars are terrible.
Right,
They were some of the worst race cars I've ever.
Was that the
I
second?
don't know how you can design anything that bad.
Was it the second year at the COT? Or?
Second,
They ran like, 07 was like part time, wasn't it?
14 races.
Okay.
And I don't think we had them on anything that was short tracks, road courses, and speedways, but no mile-and-a-half ovals. I believe I'm correct about that. So, really didn't realize how bad they were. These things are tanks, and tanks with no tread. And terrible. Sissy looking spoilers on the back, and the splitters configuration up front was third grade. It's terrible. And the drivers hated them. Absolutely hated them. Nobody could get them to drive good. It was hard, very hard. So we, people found out that if you put that skew, which means misaligning the rear end where it turns the front of the car front to the left, okay, it exposes that right side, like it's out there like a billboard. Well, that would increase what's called the side force, the aero side force, like astronomically. Well, nobody had done it more than what I like a quarter inch, which we thought was like, that's a lot. No, it wasn't near. So my engineer, who at that time, my race engineer for the 17th time, was Dave Evans, who was an extremely intelligent young man. He's done well now as a crew chief. He's high, very high intelligent, and he was very competitive. And it came to me that he said, "What do you think about the at that time? I guess it was called the Open." I said, "Well, Dave," I said, "to be honest with you, in the situation we are," I said, "I want to find something that'll make us better in the World 600. We've got to turn this way, and it could be that." I said, "We need to, if we can." He said, "Well, I got an idea." He said, "I want to win. I want us to win the Open. That's my goal." I said, "I don't really give a rat's eye anyway, though, because one person wins it and everybody else goes home in the red, and usually they're Toro. I said, but we got something that, that's good. I said, what are you thinking? He said, we've just been talking in the engineering room about the Skew thing. He said, I've done a lot of wind tunnel tests, and he said, good night, it's huge. Like every degree was like 100 counts of downforce, which is huge. I said, okay. He said, what do you think? He said, what do you think? I said, I'm fine with that. I said, I'll tell you what. He said, most everybody's been doing 4 inch or 3/16 or something like that. And he said, yeah, that's kind of across the board. That's what everybody's been doing. It's really, I said, if we're going to do it, I got Andy Petrie mindset in it now. I said, just swing for the fence. I said, don't dilly with it. I said, let's come up with something. I said, now let's go beyond, let's go all we get. His eyes got about this big. He was like, man, it's like a hungry dog at a butcher shop, and he's like, are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, what do we have to lose? I said, if it don't run good, it's not a points race. Doesn't hurt anything. I said, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's go all out. There was no rule against it. I mean, you had to keep the wheelbase right, you had to keep the tread width right, you had to fit this, fit that, but there was no rule.
Right.
Period. So they dig in, and they kept coming back to me, and everybody's asked me about this. I said, don't bother me about this. I said, we're thinking about the World 600, but I just really didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
So the engineering team at that time, Travis Geisler was there. He was the 2-car engineer, I believe, but Dave Ellens and a bunch of people in that engineering, they went to work and found parts and found it really wasn't really that hard. Finding the axles in the drive was just the hardest part. That so it wouldn't break. That's a lot of this line. The housing, most housings are like, if they're skewed, they're like a 1/8 inch this way and 1/8 inch that. And then you can do a little bit with truck arm assembly rear suspension that when the thing travels, it'll gain a little bit more. Because this side's truck arm angles are like this and that. It pushes this side back and puts the side forward. Pretty much just geometry. Pretty simple. Well, the housing itself had 1 inch on one side, an inch in and 1 inch out, 1 inch. And we took everything we could do with pushing it back with the slugs, the alignment slugs. We had the truck arms all the way maxed, had the panel bar, everything. And I remember when we loaded the thing on the truck, we pushed it down the main room, which it's all tile floor at Penske Racing. And they're like, I think they're 12-inch tile. I think it's 12 or 14. I can't remember. I went out there and measured it. And I told the guys, I said, when you push this thing down, I said, I'm gonna follow it. He said, I just push it down, get the left side right on this line over here at the tile. And he said, I'm gonna tell you to stop. So the guy was pushing stopped, and it was a tile and a half different from right front to right. I mean, the thing was skewed over here.
It certainly looked sideways on TV.
Oh, it was sideways getting it on the truck, on the scales and everything else. And the biggest thing that happened was it kind of leaked out before we got over there. People doing this, and by the time we got the car unloaded to go through tech the first time, there was 200 people looking at our car. Oh God! But there was nothing illegal about it.
Right.
There was not one thing illegal about this. It was just weird. And I remember when I watched him go off pit road to qualify, and it's like, he didn't go like that. And there was a guy, Billy Burkheimer, who was NASCAR official, and he was pretty intense. He was over on the body stuff, and he thought, man, we got all this stuff in one box. Nobody's got an advantage. He was the guy that was doing the paddle down at the end of pit road, telling each one to go out. And he was standing in the car, and he was looking at that thing. And he turned around and was cussing. I mean, just a blue stream. Like, I said, come on, Billy, But they, they got onto it there that week, and they really talked pretty ugly to us after we were. They could have made it a lot bigger deal.
What do they want to do? Finding y'all?
They ended up finding us, and I think they found some points. Now they made us. They from there. I didn't know if it was going to let us start the race. Because they made us stay behind pit wall, the fence behind the pit wall as the race was on pace laps, and we were sitting there and wouldn't let the driver get in.
Oh, wow.
And by the time we got in to go out, we were out 2 laps down. Time we got our 3 maybe. And after Byers turned up, I mean, they pretty much said, okay, you're not gonna have a chance tonight.
Yeah.
And well, I understood. Yeah, I understood it. I said,
It's their
okay,
ball game.
it's like, okay, we made a mistake. I'm not asking you to look over. So,
Right.
you know, I'm just telling you, we're, you know, these little bit desperate times here. And we had to do what we thought we could do, and it was kind of a dumb thing to do. Took all the parts and all this stuff, and that's what all.
So it became illegal pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the best
And
inventions.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit patooted at Darrell Waltrip. He really, he was one of the announcers, and he talked like, "Oh my gosh, this can't be right."
Yeah. Let me ask you this while we're on the topic. Have you ever been called to the hauler?
Yeah,
What's that like?
not good.
Not good.
I just, biggest thing I was for was like that Northern Tour. It was kind of in sort of, I think it was 2007. We went to Daytona and 4th of July, and we just, you know, and I'll be honest with you, at that time, everybody in the garage area was, you know, putting a little air pressure to their fuels overnight. I mean, it was going on. I mean, you could make a 22-gallon cell, 23, pretty easy. 23, yeah, it's not a big deal. And it was, well, that particular night for whatever, we got a little overzealous. You come in the next day and it looks like a bomb had gone off. And they called it, you know, we didn't have a choice, and they called it going through tech. And if I'd have had a good lawyer with me that day, I'd probably own NASCAR. The way I was talked to.
Wow.
For the people that aren't there.
It's rough. Yeah.
I probably would have owned their asses.
Mm.
But it was okay. And Dark River, they were pretty good to me, really. They could have been like, they could have like ended my career. You know,
Oh, sure.
I didn't do it, whatever. That doesn't matter. That goes back to that thing. I'm the one at the table. I'm the one where the buck stops. You know, don't go to the next guy. It was right here. And I learned a lesson right there, and they, you know, it was pretty big. They made a big deal out of it, but afterwards it was fine.
Did Sam like the car?
He loved it, but he didn't have.
Yeah.
He'd been in that open wheel. It's a whole different kind of thing, right?
He didn't have much to say one way or another. And yeah, he had an open wheel, and he was really good in those things. I kind of want to learn to do that. But anyway, that's not my business. But he made a mistake there on the first lap of the All-Star Race, or second lap, or something on the wall. So that things went downhill pretty fast. He ended up with a wrecked car.
You went like 2 laps down, I think.
Yeah.
But you still, by the end of the race, were like top 10.
I remember, all I can remember about it was being frustrated, but things got strung out. We had started back, but I remember him coming back up through there, and he passed Gordon, Tony Stewart, the other Penske cars, all the top, Harvick, all the top. He passed them like it nothing. I mean, just go up on the corner. If they were here, he went up here. If they were here, he went down. We just drove around them like he's a late model and this guy's in the streets. If I had to do over with and know what I know now, I would have said, nope, we're not running this in Oakland, but we're going to the World 600 and run that at the World 600. But more than likely, in that long a race, he would have the mentality to say, just don't race till the last 100 miles. And he would have won the World 600.
Wow.
And things would have been, I can promise you, he would have, I mean, if he'd have went mashed it on halfway, he probably left.
Wow.
He's and it's like, so, but anyway, it was fun.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people asking about that, you know, and all the things we did. It was done that car. A lot of people did a lot of research, a lot of work, and dotted a lot of I's and crossed a lot of T's and thought through a lot of stuff. Because if we'd have, you know, we had something there that would have been like, we are going to wax these people. And NASCAR got so mad about it, they said some ugly things. It's like,